One of the most one-sided games in recent history at the Parc des Princes this week, but Liverpool still found a way to win. 1-0 on the night. Now PSG go to Anfield, trailing 1-0. Is it Liverpool's?
Yeah, this is football heritage. This is what I love to see in the Champions League. There is different ways to skin a cat. I know we live in a Pep Guardiola world where it's possession based, you've got to dominate opposition, but sometimes when you win games that you don't deserve to win, it boosts you even more. This is a Liverpool side that have played great football this season, probably the best football in the Champions League, the best football in the Premier League. This was no way one of their best performances, but this is by far their best result in the Champions League so far. The fact that they nicked it, a draw would have been a good result, but the fact that they nicked it and they get to take that 1-0 lead back to Anfield, they'll be absolutely delighted. And Arne Slot was honest, he's been very honest in post-match interviews, and he talks about how PSG dominated, but Liverpool just hung in there, and Alisson obviously had one of the performances of his life, and now they go back to Anfield, which is always a factor under the lights. This tie is done for PSG.
I mean, we say it a lot, don't we, that champions just find a way to win. And this seemed like that archetypal performance where, let's be honest, they were pretty poor. Salah was pretty poor, but for Alisson, they certainly would have been 2 or 3 goals down quite early on. And PSG were absolutely fantastic. But the fact that they do have Alisson who can put in a performance like that, and the fact that they have the spirit and the character to then score in the 87th minute, shows why they're at the top of the Premier League. Does it show why they are potentially favourites for the Champions League as well?
I think Liverpool always have to be considered as one of the favourites for the Champions League because of their history in the competition and the fact that obviously they are one of the best, if not the best teams in Europe right now. But me and Kweku differ quite a lot here, and we look at this very, very differently. I'm a Wenger disciple. He's a Mourinho disciple. And I think that comes across in the way that we're both looking at this, because you said you love it. I hate to see games turn out like this.
Really?
I hate it. I felt like somebody had punched me in the stomach when Liverpool scored. And I don't support PSG.
Yeah.
And I would have said the same thing if it was anybody that had done this, that had gone and provided and produced a smash and grab like that. PSG were so good on the night. Everything was tip-top. Their build-up play, the press, the way they were winning the ball back. Liverpool couldn't even get their foot on the ball and put 10 passes together at certain points, even less than that at times, because PSG were all over them. Dembele was outstanding, beating players for fun. Kvaratskhelia, what a player. Desperately unlucky not to have his goal stand. I know he was offside, but by his back leg or whatever it was, I think his Achilles was offside. But I was interested to see how he would fare playing on the right-hand side, because I've seen so much of him from the left and cutting in, and he adapted really well. Barcola, Vitinha pulling the strings in midfield. They've got so much going for him, this PSG side. I'll tell you what, if I were them, I would be feeling down and I would be gutted after what happened in the first leg. But they've got to go to Anfield with confidence. I know it's a tough place to go. I know everybody talks about the atmosphere and all the rest of it. But they were much better than Liverpool. Much better. And if they go and put in half of that performance at Anfield, they've got a chance of getting through.
As a Kevin Keegan disciple, I mean, you're Wenger, you're Mourinho. I had Kevin Keegan when I was growing up, so a bit different. And Stuart Pearce, but I love this kind of stuff. If you were Luis Enrique now, are you thinking, right, let's just go to Anfield and replicate the exact performance we put in last week?
You can't, because the atmosphere and the emphasis is different. Liverpool fans will not allow the team to perform like that. And I get what you're saying in terms of this is very different to a Mourinho masterclass. Mourinho set his teams up to defend and eliminate the other team having chances. PSG had so many chances. It wasn't a case of Liverpool were defensively great. Alisson had a great game. They were just poor on the ball. And so I can understand why it's a little bit different to a Mourinho masterclass. But the fact they've got that win, they've got something to hold on to going to Anfield. PSG are going to have to pull out something, one of the greatest results in their modern Champions League history to overturn this game, because like we mentioned, Liverpool are one of, or maybe the best team in Europe, beating Real Madrid at Anfield this season. No one goes to Anfield apart from Nottingham Forest and gets anything, really. And I feel like this is a Liverpool team that have the nous, they have the know-how, and Mo Salah won't have a bad game as he had in Paris, and some of their key players will perform a lot better than they did against PSG in midweek. And unless PSG can really take their chances and be opportunistic, I think Liverpool will run right in the second leg.
Do you know what I thought was really interesting as well? Like, going into the game, I was looking at the two midfields, and I thought Liverpool's is far more physical, and I thought that was going to give them the upper hand. But some of those PSG players in there, Vitinha and João Neves in particular, they're so mobile. They buzz around so much. They're almost like regens of Verratti. Do you remember Verratti when he was playing at PSG? In that they've got all the technical ability in the world, but they're also so sharp. They're essentially doing doggies up and down constantly through the whole game. And I was positively surprised by that. And this PSG side, they look much more like a team. And I know that's the very top level, top line narrative that's around them at the moment. But they do have that brilliance as well. They do have those players that can just break away from the system and go and do their own thing in Dembele and Kvaratskhelia, who I've mentioned, Barcola as well. I don't think this is over. I really, really don't think it's over.
On Liverpool, I mean, you do mention an interesting point there. Like, it was a smash and grab, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a tactical smash and grab.
No.
It was a lucky smash and grab because PSG had so many chances. And, like, we can say, like I said at the beginning of the video, okay, it's a sign of champions to win when you're not playing well. But is there also, like, a possibility that this showed how to play against an Arne Slot team, or was this just an uncharacteristically off night for them?
I don't think many teams have the personnel of PSG to trouble Liverpool like this. Like you mentioned, the midfielders just do so much work, and it's rare to have the combination of skill and also endeavour and willingness to work for your side. And so I think PSG are unique in that setup. What they lack is an actual gunman, number 9, is going to take chances, because we mentioned it, the Champions League is about moments. The reason why Real Madrid are the best team in the Champions League is because they take their moments. PSG didn't, and it's going to cost them in this tie. But I don't think there's a blueprint really that they presented to beat Liverpool. I think they've just got the perfect personnel for it. I just think this Liverpool team had an off night. Alisson had an on night, luckily for them. I think at Anfield, under the lights, the fans are going to be behind them, and I think that Liverpool will find a way to put forward a better performance and get a better result as well.
Forget the result just a second though, and we just concentrate just on the performance, which I know you can't really do in football. But concentrating on the performance, without Mohamed Salah on form, Liverpool did look very, very toothless. If he is not on form in the latter stages of the Champions League, particularly when they probably will come up against an Atletico or Real Madrid, can they beat top teams regularly without Salah performing to the level that he has been at the beginning of the season? What I'm asking is, has he single-handedly put Liverpool to where they are? And without him, would they be anywhere near where they are? And can they continue to be as we get into the latter stages of the Champions League?
Well, he's carried them a lot this season. There have been a lot of performances that I've watched and sort of come away from thinking Liverpool weren't really that good today. But they had that X factor, they got their star man, and he's dragged them through. Yesterday, he was non-existent, as were a lot of other Liverpool players. The only one that comes away with any credit from the first leg for me is Alisson. Everybody else was so below the level. And I know I've spent ages sort of praising PSG, so it looks like I'm being a bit of a hypocrite now. But you touched on it. Smash and grab, there's two types. There's a tactical smash and grab where you go there, you set up to stifle someone, you soak it up, and you hit them with a sucker punch. And then there's that, which is you just not performing, not turning up, having the rub of the green, being incredibly fortunate that arguably from a defensive point of view, your most important guy turned up. And then you go in and you get your moment at the other end of the pitch. And as well, like that goal, Donnarumma should save it.
Yeah.
Donnarumma should absolutely 100% save it. And then we're talking about Liverpool being lucky to get a draw, but actually the post-mortem around their performance is very, very different. So I think they were incredibly fortunate in the first leg, and they've got a lot of work still to do to get through in this tie for me.
Fortune does always seem to favour the champions, though. That's how football works. You kind of make your own luck. Obviously, PSG now travel to Anfield, 1 goal behind. What's your prediction for the second leg?
It's hard to say that PSG won't score because of how many chances they had in the first leg and didn't score, but I don't think they will score. I think Liverpool win this game 2-0.
Sorry?
I think that PSG do score. I think Liverpool are going to have to score at least a couple on the night to see off PSG, because I think this PSG team have got plenty about them, and actually, in a way, going away from home where there's a bit more pressure on Liverpool to come out and play them. I know they're leading this high, but it's not the Liverpool way to sit behind the ball. I think that might leave some spaces for some of their counter-attacking players. Barcola, Dembele, Hakimi even coming up in the wide areas. Mendes can do that from the other side as well. I think they've got so many runners, I don't think you can write them off.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think PSG are going to score goals. I think they're going to cause Liverpool a few problems. I just think that no one goes to Anfield a goal behind and gets out unscathed and progresses to the next round. It just doesn't happen. For whatever reason, for whatever spirituality that is in place at Anfield, it just does not happen. I do think PSG will score, and I'm going to go for 2-2 on the night.